come join me today while I do some measuring and we can chat while I'm doing some work. So as much as, yes, I'm the founder and CEO of Unmarked Street, I also still do a lot of our client work. So we're doing some measuring today. We've got some new cycling jerseys in. We are checking out these size sets. So part of what was really important when we came into this brand to help them kind of take on some development work was also helping them put this kind of fit process in place, right? So we wanted to come in and put something on their books or kind of in a manual or put down those SOPs so that they could understand, like, what are the processes that we're going to do for them as their development team member, basically, at Unmarked Street, but also what are the things that we then expect of them to do once we're done with our part. So part of this process includes, the dishwasher's done. So this also includes the kind of measuring and stuff that we do. So most of the samples get sent directly to me at the moment. That will probably evolve over time as we're bringing my lead product developer, Jessica, on board with this account as well. And so these samples come to me. I review them thoroughly. So I've already looked at these inside and out. I'm looking for stitching issues. I'm looking for any popped stitches. I'm looking for threads that have come loose. I'm looking to make sure that everything we had in our bill of materials was actually followed and it's on this sample. If not, I'm taking note of it as I'm kind of doing my measurements. I'm handwriting notes for myself here. And then I go through and I measure the whole garment against the latest requested measurements that we did. So what I'm checking for here, we are getting a little bit off on our neck circumferences, but so one of the things that you want to pay attention to when you're measuring a garment against what you asked for is, number one, were the measurements updated properly at the last round? So we asked for quite a few changes last time, and it could be that what we expected the measurement to be needed to be adjusted a little bit more, or the pattern yielded something a little bit different. Throughout my career, one thing that's been really important for me to know is that a pattern measurement doesn't always yield a garment measurement. So a lot of factories really like to insist that you update your measurement spreadsheets to match what their patterns measure. And there's a clear kind of explanation that I've always used in this way. And I like to explain that because humans sew garments and because there's always stretch involved in most fabrics, especially what we're using today, and because just like seam allowances could be a little bit different. People could crop a little bit off here or there. What we expect to see in the way of a pattern measurement could yield a slightly different garment measurement. And we always like to track final garment measurements so that we know exactly what those are so that we can then quality check garments in production. So when they arrive at our warehouse, we can check those measurements to make sure, like, did that actually hit what we wanted? It's really incredibly hard during production to go back and measure a pattern because that pattern might actually measure what we wanted it to, but because of some sort of sewing issue or because some sort of production issue, the garment didn't then yield the measurement that we wanted on the garment. So that's kind of a quality thing that you can do in your brand. So if your factory is pushing you to put pattern measurements in your spec sheet, you could offer to do that in a second measurement spreadsheet. I would call it like pattern measurements. And then you want to have one that also tracks your garment because you want to be able to see the differences. And again, you want to be able to track what your garments actually measure when you receive them. That's really important. So today I'm just going through, again, we're at size set stage. So we're not at a point really where we're like finalizing anything here. We are going to go through a size set round and a full size set wear test. So we're going to get this on a lot of different bodies. We're going to ask a lot of different people to ride in these jerseys, make sure they feel good, make sure there's no chafing, no rubbing. Especially when you're dealing with performance apparel, you want to make sure that when the body is in motion doing the sport that it's supposed to be doing, whether that's climbing, running, swimming, cycling, whatever it is, you want to make sure that your athlete feels comfortable, because if they're out there doing their sport and they're thinking about what they're wearing because it's hurting them in some way or it's not comfortable in some way, then you didn't do your job right. So we want our athletes to feel like their clothes kind of disappear when they're out doing their sport so that they can focus on performance and winning. That's the key, right? So I'm gonna keep measuring today. I've got a lot of samples that I'm measuring. I think I have 10 or 11 more to go. On average, it takes me about 10 minutes per garment to measure, so I've got a little time ahead of me. That's what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of hours. If you have any questions on like measuring garments or anything we touched on today, please put a comment below, or you can reach out to me via the DM. I look forward to hearing from you, and have a wonderful Thursday. See you tomorrow.